Yellow Pages. This is where you can find, I would say about 90% of the calls that we field at the Institute, they're asking, well, where do I find a manufacturer? Where do I find a wholesaler? It's in this Yellow Pages. This is where you can find your model builders, you can find all your mailing lists, this is where you can find this mailbox services. Pretty much everything that you need in business will be in this industrial Yellow Pages. But I wouldn't even stop here. What you may want to do is get a copy of the Vancouver Yellow Pages, Montreal Yellow Pages. You're buying products from the U.S., minimum get a copy of their telephone book, whether it's from the Far East or Western Europe. Now, these telephone books, again, if you're a business, normally they'll give you this directory, but we're going to use a residential line starting out. So you have to contact TeleDirect. It's a sister company of Bell Canada, and they charge about $25 for this directory. But again, getting these directories can save you anywhere from 30 to 80% knowing how to source your product. So again, get a copy of the Yellow Pages nearest you. Second point here, build up a credit rating. Now is the time to build your credit rating while you're working. Because if you quit your job right now, then you go try to borrow money. As far as investors and people want to finance you are concerned, you're a poor risk. But if you establish your credit while you're working right now, when you go out and negotiate a loan, you'll find you can get a very competitive rate. So what you want to do first is go down to the credit bureau, what you want to do is if you've never taken out a loan, take out a small loan. So banks are unlikely to go back next month and pay it off. At least now you have a track record that you're a good customer and then you pay off your bills on time. But the second one here is you want to apply for as much credit as you can get your hands on. So if you don't have any credit cards, what you have to do is start off with some gas cards or department store cards. But really what you want are these Visa cards, MasterCards, American Express, Diners Club, En route card. All these, how the credit system works is the more credit cards you have, the more people are prepared to give you. So TD gives you a credit card for $3,000. You can be sure when you apply for CIBC, they'll match that. It's how banks really make their money, and they compete for you to use their credit card here. Okay, so here there's about 126 financial institutions in Canada, but there's about 40 different credit cards you can actually get your hands on. So if you get even 10 or 20 of these different credit cards here, and if you have $5,000 on each of these credit cards, you now have access to about $50,000 to $100,000 line of credit. Now when you walk into your bank, not only can you negotiate a competitive rate, because he knows that you have access to all this line of credit, you can actually take it down to the guy down the street, so you can negotiate a very competitive rate of interest. But the key here is aggressively building up your credit. So right now you might have 2 or 3 credit cards. Don't wait for the end of the year for them to bump you up $1,000 or $2,000. What you want to do is every 3 or 4 months, call them up and say, I need another $1,000 or another $2,000 increase. So you have to ongoing keep increasing this credit limit here. I'm not saying you're going to go charge up on these credit cards here, but the key here is you have access to these funds. Because many times you'll find in business you have a big job to do, and you still have to pay your employees and pay your rent, and next week you're going to get paid by the supplier here. And when you go running down to the bank, what they're going to do is charge you 2 or 3% for this 2-week loan here, or what we call a bridge loan. But if they don't loan you the money, you know you can take out what we call cash advance. In 2 weeks, you just pay back the interest, but you're not accountable to any one individual or any one finance company. Okay? Now, the next step here, what you want to do is on Monday, is go down to the credit bureau. Now, the credit bureau, if you're from other towns, it might be your local city hall or the economic development center. It's a bureau that has been recognized for credit information. This is where your banks would go, insurance companies, trust companies, credit unions. Businesses would go to find information on individuals or on businesses. This one is located in downtown Toronto, 60 Bloor Street West. The phone number itself is 964-5482. So what you want to do is get some information, but more, go down and look at your credit file, because if you apply for a loan or you apply for a credit card, if they declined it, that means there's something on that credit report that's saying that you're a poor risk. So anything that is negative on that credit report, you have to make sure that you remove it. But at the same time, anything that is positive can enhance your credit file, what you have to do is make sure that it's on there. So if you just got a credit card or you just got a credit limit increase, you've got to make sure it shows up on this credit report. If you've just taken out a loan, make sure that it's on this. If you just paid off your mortgage, make sure it's on there. But the downside here on the things that are negative, the only people who can remove it are the people who originally put it on here. So let's say it's a recession. These past 2 years, we decided we're not going to use our credit cards. We're going to pay off all our bills here. And in the process, you were in transit. You just moved from an apartment into a house here. So you don't care if the statements are going to your old address because you paid off all your bills. But somewhere in the process, maybe the post office screwed up and it arrived one day late to the department store here. So what happens is the department store at the end of the month, they're going to issue another invoice, a statement. As far as you're concerned, you paid off all your bills. 30 days go by, no big deal. They just put a $2 interest start. 60 days go by, they charge another $1 interest. But after 90 days, because most of these department stores or these organizations who issue credit cards are computerized, after 90 days, they're going to send a report down to the credit bureau showing that you're 90 days in arrears. They don't know if it's a $2 interest charge or it's a $2,000 charge that you're overextending yourself on here. So what you have to do is contact this department store and tell them, based on my check, this is when it was submitted. For whatever reason, this wasn't posted on time here. So again, to emphasize, the only people who can remove these items are the people who originally put it on. The other point is, those of you who had bankruptcy or had credit problems in the past, it doesn't mean you're down and out, because normally in bankruptcy it takes about 7 years before it comes off your credit file. But usually about 2 years you're automatically discharged. So what you want to do is don't wait 2 years until you're discharged. Right now what you want to do is aggressively rebuild this credit. So what you want is what they call a secured credit card. And how that normally works is, let's say you manage to scrape up another $1,000, and a lot of times they garnish your wages if you really mess them up. But somewhere you manage to scrape up another $1,000, and what you want to do is take this $1,000 and put it in a term deposit. Depending on the terms you work out with your banker, it might be for a year, it might be for 2 years. They're going to pay you interest while it's sitting in this term deposit for a year or two. But in exchange, they're going to give you a credit card for that same amount. So here, if you run up this credit card to $1,000, they'll cut the credit card up and take this $1,000 you have a deposit. So it's their collateral, their security. But what happens is, it doesn't show up on this credit report as a secured credit card. It just shows as a Toronto Dominion. You're not going to get it from the one that you messed up. But what happens is, you're going to, that credit card is going to show that you've got a $1,000 credit card. And then you start this whole process again. You apply to CIBC, Bank of Montreal, what have you. And again, they're going to compete to have you use their credit card. Because a lot of times what you'll find, if you've got TD here, CIBC will match whatever they gave you. But Montreal is going to come around and say, tell you what, why don't you just cancel all these Visa credit cards and we'll give you the equivalent on this MasterCard. So they're constantly competing your business because you're paying 8%, 18% to use this credit card. So it's very important to understand how this credit information works. Normally the minimum you need is, in order to see your credit file, is a driver's license or a social insurance card. Okay? So that, again, you want to go down and see what's on your credit file there. Some other points here is Start Smart for tax loss carrybacks. Now this applies to sole proprietorships. And what you need is a little booklet, this little form here again, this business and professional income tax guide here. And what the form that you're looking for is called a loss carryback, or a T1A form. And what you can actually claim back up to 3 years. So if you pay taxes back up to 3 years, if you can show that you've been working on this business venture, you just haven't made any sales yet, you can claim back some of these taxes in your sole proprietorship. Okay. So again, it only applies to sole proprietorship, non-corporations, because the corporation, really what you're doing is creating a separate entity, and it doesn't exist until the day you register it. Okay? So again, it's possible to claim back some taxes that you paid in previous years in the sole proprietorship using this loss carryback form. The next one here is setting up major assets in your own name. Now again, what we're talking about here is that you own a corporation, but you'll find in the early stages, the first 9 months to first year is when you have the highest risk. And you don't want to find out you lose everything in the process in the early stages here. So what you may want to do is put the assets in your own company name. Because regardless of what business you get into, there's one piece of equipment that you're going to require to run this business. If you're in a printing business, it might be a printing press. If you're in a computer business, it's a computer and printer. If you're a restaurant, it might be the cash register and the grills. These things could be added up to quite a bit here. And you don't want to find out you lose this investment when you're building your company. Because again, in the corporation, we mess up our creditors and they come suing us. And in the corporation, if they come sue it, because the assets are in our own personal name, there's nothing that they can sue. We just take our printing press or our grills, we move down the street, and we just register another company here. Now, after a year or 2 years, once your company has stabilized, what you may want to do is sell this asset to your company. But you can't afford to lose this at the early stages here. Now, understand there are tax consequences here, but as individuals, you actually have what they call $100,000 in capital gains. It only applies to individuals, and if you don't have investments, probably you won't use it up anyways. Okay. The next point here is investing debt, not equity. And again, these are just little paper transactions, tax strategies that you need to be aware of, and it can save you thousands of dollars. Again, we're talking about a corporation here, and a lot of times, if, let's say you save up $25,000, most entrepreneurs just go out and buy $25,000 worth of product. Okay? But what you may want to do here is loan this $25,000 to your corporation to buy this product, because generally there's only 2 ways to get money out of a corporation. It's either declaring a dividend or declaring a salary. And again, both of these are taxable. So by loaning this money to your corporation, to get it out tax-free, you're just going to write a check back to yourself. You may even want to charge yourself interest, simply as a repayment of debt. Okay? The next one here is paying off any personal debt and borrowing for your business. So on that first slide I showed you earlier how to write off your mortgage, this is the concept that I'm talking about. Now, you may do this, and you also may want to borrow some money. But the government says as long as you're trying to borrow money, you can write off the interest portion. But let's say you've got this $25,000 you saved up to start your business, but you still have a $25,000 mortgage. What you're going to do is take this $25,000 here, pay down your mortgage. Again, the bank's not going to like this, but you're just going to borrow back this $25,000. As long as you borrow this money towards trying to earn income, you can write off the interest portion. So there is some paperwork involved here, but you can save yourself thousands of dollars in taxes here. The last one here is RRSP. That stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. These are just tax deferral vehicles that allow you to pay tax, but eventually you're going to have to pay tax. It's not necessarily even for retirement, because there's these registered life annuity plans, registered education savings plans. It's similar like putting money into a briefcase, but if the government can't see it, they're not going to tax it. But they're assuming right now you're working and you're at your high income bracket right now. But eventually when you reach 40, 50, when you're ready to retire, you don't have an income coming in anymore. So that's when you cash in these RSPs. But you're at a much lower bracket, so you're going to pay less tax at that point. But this is a major source of capital for people who want to start a business. Because if you're contributing, and right now if you're working, you really should be taking out your maximum contribution. Because this is the only way that I know as an individual where you can actually lower your taxes. But it's a major source for capital starting your own business. Now this one here, the Canadian Small Business Institute, we're a member of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, and there's about 300,000 other businesses that belong to this organization. And they lobby on our behalf with the federal government. And one of the things that the Institute has been pushing to is allow entrepreneurs to use this RSP money towards starting a business. Similarly, like they've allowed first-time homeowners to buy their first house using this RSP money. As long as you repay in 2 or 3 years, you don't have to pay any taxes. And we believe in the next 6 months to a year, you're going to be allowed to do this. Because I tell you, when you start your own business, these large corporations, for every job that they create, they lay off 3 people. It's only the small companies that actually create the new jobs and invest in the economy itself. Okay? And I guess the last one here is don't forget about unemployment insurance. Now, while you're working right now, you're contributing to this insurance program. And normally what happens is if the company shuts down, you qualify for this unemployment insurance. If you get laid off, you qualify for this unemployment insurance. Now this has nothing to do with pride, so you have to put your pride in your back pocket. You need as much cash coming into your business. It might be just the difference of paying your bills or putting food on the table at this stage here. But you'd be contributing money into this program, so you must well take advantage of it. But many times what happens is you just quit your job. What happens is if you're going to start your own business, you tell them you're going to start your own business, they're going to disqualify you from this program. But so the key here, I'm not telling you to do this, but this is what entrepreneurs normally do. You just go down to the library and you get a directory like Canadian Trade Index, which lists the Fortune 500 companies. You do up a resume, you don't want to do good because they might hire you. The key here is staying on this unemployment insurance as long as you can, because you have all these rejection letters showing that you are trying to look for a business. Okay? So again, understand if you just quit your job, you may not qualify. Now there is some good news. You may want to take this phone number down, 730-1211. For more information on this unemployment program, the Self-Employment Assistance Program will be available in Metro Toronto as of March 1st, 1993. So this actually just started last Monday. The program allows unemployment insurance claimants to continue receiving benefits while they set up their own business. To be eligible for the program, you must be on unemployment insurance at the time you start the program. You must be legally entitled to work in Canada, you must live in Metropolitan Toronto, and must be starting a new business. So if you qualify for the program, you should contact your local Canada Unemployment Office to be placed on a list of interested applicants. Now, what happens is when you call this number, what they're going to do is send out this 4-page handout. And really what it sums up to is what they want to see is a little small business plan, showing that how you're going to use this unemployment money. Again, this is something that's brand new and only to residents of Metropolitan Toronto. But it used to be 10 years ago that if you quit your job, you can qualify for the unemployment insurance. But they found a lot of people were taking advantage of this program. So once that happens, they like plug it up. But right now, because of the economy, there's no question it's the small businesses that can pick up this and turn it around. So again, if you're a resident of Metropolitan Toronto, this is something that you may want to take advantage of. So what we're going to do, I guess, in about 5 minutes is take a short break. But when we come back, what I want to do is show you some different ways of getting into business. And what I'm asking you to do in this next part is just keep open-minded. Again, in order to make an ultimate decision, you have to know what all the choices are. So some of you may really be set on getting involved in import or just getting into retail. There are many ways to make money, so look at some other opportunities. So the first one here is coming up with your own idea in what we call manufacturing. Opening up a retail outlet, opening up a service business, buying an existing business, buying a franchise, or simply becoming a distributor for a product. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Institute and everything I'm talking about today is actually available in a program called Blueprint for Success in Your Own Business. This is actually the most popular program in Canada. It's been available, I guess, for the past 8 years. This is the most up-to-date version of the program. This was redone about 1.5 years ago. But this gives you everything that you need in order to get started in your own business. We have over 80,000 people who have successfully completed this program. It's broken into 3 parts. We have operations, marketing, and finance. But in here, it shows you step by step from how to register your company, how to come find ideas for a product and service to get involved with, how to choose a location for your business. It goes through all these